first met you a year ago, longer than
Over.
a year ago.
Yep.
Oh my God. Yeah, time. When I first met you, how you told your story is one way. And now you're going to hear yourself tell your story in a new way. Guaranteed you haven't had this opportunity because you've now come to this place where you have really overcome it and mastered it. And not just illness, as we know, but your life. And it has transformed so much. So I do love these conversations because people really get a glimpse into their own lives and it's, whoa, it's that check-in point where you're like, holy shit, I did it. And I would love for you to share your story. I feel like a lot of people would connect and relate to your story. You were young when things started going sideways and you didn't know what was going on. And again, I could tell your story for you because we know each other so well. So I will sit back and pretend it's the first time I've ever heard it and be like, what? Help me out. It's crazy. So I would love to hear your story from the beginning when these things first started showing up in your life to where you are now.
Okay, strap in. It's a bumpy ride. When I was in college, I was a music major. And right around this time I turned 21, I started having really bad, what I now know as Raynaud's phenomenon. My hands would go numb and go cold, and I couldn't play, which was really bad for a musician. And yeah, my hands would hurt, but I always assumed it's I'm playing an instrument. That's just part of how it goes. But the fact that I couldn't ever warm my hands up was really concerning. So I went to the campus health center and they were like, oh, it's Raynaud's phenomenon. Like 10% of people have it. It's no big deal, but sometimes it's associated with autoimmune. We'll just run some blood work to be sure. I'm sure you're fine. Sure enough, they call me back. They're like, you need to go see a rheumatologist. Your numbers are a little wacky. So in the town I was in, there was like a 6-month wait to get into a rheumatologist. Here I am, 21, no clue what any of this is. All I know is, hey, I want to play my instrument. Can you help me play my instrument? So long story short, I go through a whole bunch of testing with a physical medicine doctor who is actually still a very dear friend of mine to this day. And he's the one who officially put a label on me as undifferentiated connective tissue disorder, acts like rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, fine. Go around that and realize that this is something I'm going to have the rest of my life. Didn't really view it as very serious. On and off different medications throughout the years. Fast forward to probably about 5-6 years ago, things started getting a little worse. And I've lived a pretty normal life, playing my instrument, being a teacher, and I used to do Ironman triathlon. So in my opinion, I was indestructible. So whatever this silly diagnosis was, got nothing on me, but things started to slow down. My joints were hurting more and more. My labs were looking worse and worse. Doctors put me on more and more medication. I just assumed that's the way it was. Along that path, my mother actually was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis as well, and hers was much more severe, accelerated much quicker, and I watched my mother decline rather rapidly. By this point, my mother retired in 2019 and they moved into a new house, and mom had really deteriorated, and I watched that unfold. Obviously, the pandemic hit in 2020 and just the stress of all of that. My health started getting worse and worse. Started adding new conditions in there, started having stomach issues. The depression and anxiety kicked up a lot. My mother unfortunately passed away in 2021. I wouldn't say directly from rheumatoid arthritis, but her body had completely wasted away to almost nothing. And it was very difficult for the whole family to watch. And then shortly after that happened, I started, whether it was just because of what happened, but I noticed all the same symptoms in myself that my mother was experiencing, and they were accelerating and accelerating. And the only answers doctors could give me was, this is the way it is. Here, take this pill. Here, go have this test. And for a while, I just rolled with it. Finally, my anxiety really ramped up probably about 2 or 3 years ago, just to an all-encompassing level. I was always anxious, always. I was looking for answers. I just started to think this can't be the way it has to be. I started Googling down rabbit holes, trying to find different solutions and different things. And lo and behold, I came across Modern Health Solutions on Instagram through just probably Google searches, tailoring my feed that way and putting it there in front of my face. And I had been diving some other stuff and listening to some other podcasts about natural stuff. And I guess I was just never ready to really make that change. But it was to the point that my symptoms and my anxiety were controlling every aspect of my life. From the moment I went to sleep, if I did sleep, to the moment I woke up and everything in between, I had lost all the joy in my life. I kept saying, tomorrow will be better, tomorrow will be better, and tomorrow never was better. I started chatting with you, Kristen, and finding more out about the program. And I felt like at that point, I had no other option. I had to do this for me because I was losing everything around me. My husband and I were disconnected because I was so occupied with what was going on with me. I felt I wasn't even sure I could return to work. This was over the summer. I wasn't even sure I was going to be able to return to work in the fall to be an effective orchestra director. I was debating whether I would take medical leave or what. I didn't know what I was going to do. I really didn't know what I was going to do. And after having my first one-on-one chat, after listening to the intro podcasts and having my one-on-one chat with Kristen, I felt a lightness that I hadn't felt ever. Like, wait, there really is a way out. There really is a way to change things.
There
And
is.
there is. And so I jumped in with both feet and probably got in over my head sometimes too.
As we do.
But that was last July. And so here I am 14 months later. And I'd probably say I'm a pretty different person.
Yeah. How would you describe your life now?
As a whole, the anxiety is not taking control. Yeah, it still shows up from time to time, but now I'm okay. When it shows up, I go, okay, why are you here? What do we need to talk about? What's going on? And then it moves on. Whereas before, it took up residency in my life. It moved in and wasn't paying rent. From that standpoint, mentally, I've got a much better outlook. And anytime things start to go awry, I now feel like I have the ability to flip the script, or at least to be able to sit with it and not worry about it and let it spiral down out of control, which I have found, I think controlling the thoughts and controlling the anxiety piece has solved a large portion of my physical symptoms. I was having unexplained stomach pains that they ran a bunch of tests on me and couldn't find anything. And they were like, you're just going to have surgery. And I was like, oh, it just didn't sit with me. And the more I started to get my thoughts under control, the less things hurt.
It's funny how the healing is the side effect.
Yeah.
Yep. And we all do it. It's part of the healing process. We get so focused on what's going on in the body that we don't realize that we're feeding it with our mind. And it really is that piece of mind mastery that changes everything.
It is.
Yeah. And you've nailed it, because look at how you can control that now. If you have any even inkling of pain in your body, you're like, okay, I'm going to do this. And yeah, that's control.
Yeah. And knowing when the crazy train that I constantly ride needs to pull into the station and stop for a minute.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
The biggest thing that I noticed with you, I've seen several iterations of you in the last 14 months. That's normal. That's part of the healing process. We go through all of our different stages of having to shed these different masks and these different belief systems that we've built up for so many years. And the biggest thing that I have noticed with you is how much power you harness now. The way you hold yourself, the way you speak from a completely different point of power than you stood from before.
Thank you. I don't know. I've gotten to the point where I used to not say things because I was afraid that I might upset people or it might not be the right thing to say, even if it didn't sit well with me. Now, if I need to say something, I say something. And if it doesn't sit well with somebody else, that's their problem, not mine.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that out of spite,
Mhm.
but I'm just more in alignment with what vibrational frequency works for me and what doesn't.
Yeah, you can differentiate. And that's exactly it is, oh, I'm a person, I matter. And when your intention is for the highest good for everyone, then why shouldn't you have a voice? And your
Exactly.
yeah, you're bad. Like, it's good. I love it. It's just so fun to watch you because there was certain mm, archetypes in your life that could create fear for you before. And now you can stand in that and say, no, I'm the one, actually.
Yes, and I've actually discovered that there are a couple people like that in my life that are there just because they have to be there. But I have also learned now how to manage those interactions with those people to the point that they don't have anything to say to me.
Mhm.
After I say something, they are literally quiet and it's one.
Okay, nailed it. And isn't it so funny how when you come from that place of power and confidence and logic, that people are like, good point.
Yeah.
And so here you stand, being in this position that you're in now and knowing how to heal your body, knowing how to heal your mind, pretty amazing to do that in 14 months of your life, to turn around a lifetime. It's amazing. It never ceases to blow my mind. It never does. And from here, what do you think is unlocked for you in the future?
Wow. Loaded question. I've got a few things lined up career wise that are in place and a few more pieces that I am manifesting.
Mhm.
Flash some more pieces that are falling into place. Ultimately, my husband and I want to move back to the town we grew up in, which is a
Mhm.
lot smaller and slower way of life. And our families are there, and that's where we want to be. That's what I'm working on manifesting right now. Like I said, there's a few pieces that are starting to appear of the puzzle. I'm
Yeah.
putting it out there in the universe and waiting for God to put the pieces together. And as crazy as it sounds, I just want a slower, I do enjoy being busy, but a little bit slower pace of life and just enjoy the simple things. And that's one thing that I have really appreciated on this healing journey is being able to appreciate little things
Mhm.
because it's really the little things that are the big things.
Mhm. Isn't it
You
fun
know,
when you come to that realization?
yeah, just taking my dogs for a walk or enjoying a quiet dinner with my husband or spending the weekend with my dad and just sitting and talking over coffee. The little things, listening to music and just enjoying it for what it is, being in the moment instead of always worrying or thinking about what's next. Yes, I'm thinking about what's next, but I'm also always trying to pull myself back to the moment.
Yeah, you're in it, you're living. And that's the biggest thing is coming to life and living your life. As we sit here and you look healthy, your behavior, everything about you just exudes health. There's many other people on this planet that still haven't found their aha moment. They haven't started coming into their healing journey. And a lot of people that still don't even know that there's hope. After going through all of this, what would you have told your past self?
I would have told her to hang on. It seems bleak. I got to a point where my anxiety was just so all controlling that I was convinced it was going to kill me. I
Mhm.
was literally convinced it was going to physically kill me or otherwise disable me.
Mhm.
And I believed it 100%. I did not see a way out. And I would tell my former self that hold on, there is a way out. It's not easy, it's not quick,
Mhm.
but there is a way out and it'll happen one step at a time, but it'll happen quickly, if
Mhm.
that makes any sense. There's maybe not things that are enjoyable about your current situation, but you can find one moment of joy in every day. And if you can find that one moment of joy, that one moment of lightness,
Mhm.
and just hold on to that, and then look for the next one, and then look for the next one, and it'll change.
I love that. That is such a beautiful sentiment. Thank you for coming on and sharing your story of hope because there are so many others out there that that's what they need. They just need to know there's another side. And by being
Like,
they and showing them that, that is the biggest gift. So thank you for joining us. And thank you, Sabrina, for being here and sharing your story. It's so
of
appreciated.
course, my pleasure.